Yeah, but I have video around.
Yeah.
Really? Since we had that special session last year, so we don't have to super. Started over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's from, no, it's both. And this part, he was just walking back after the truck. This guy in a big truck and then a horse trailer with cattle. Pulls, bounces over the curb, puts the edge of the back of the truck and kind of just keeps going in the parts and have this like, he said.
Did you see the one that's on the primary city county center?
What's that?
No.
Actually, I said,
Because
I wrote survey. Yeah. Did you have your hospitals put the little sticky thing on?
That's all over the people.
Because I didn't see that.
I don't know which process. I think. And that's part of it. Yeah.
It's kind of curious if we can get a lighter crowd because of the weather out there.
And met with snow in the middle of that, so we can used to see that on the stage example. Development funds. Yeah, she wouldn't have to drive at all. Yeah, well, I think that is like what was she said all the way in, and I'm standing there, and I went, yeah.
All right, I've got 7 o'clock, so why don't we go ahead and call the meeting to order and the flag salute.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, everyone, welcome to our April City Council meeting. Before we get going, we do have a few items on the consent agenda. Is there any consent agenda items councilors would like to pull out for regular discussion? There's a no. Yeah, no, James, no. Okay, we'll keep the consent agenda as is. The first order of business then is discussion regarding the zoning map correction. I see we have Holly online and we have the information that was provided in our packet. I had a chance to read it through, but Holly, do you want to give us a quick overview?
I'd love to. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you just fine.
Great. For the record, my name is Holly Byram. I work for the Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments. in the capacity of a contract city planner to the city of Hubbard. So the first agenda item I have for you this evening is a potential correction of an old map error. Now, over the past few decades, the city of Hubbard and the Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments have kind of passed the maps back and forth in terms of the duties and responsibilities of who keeps them and updates them. Last year, the city asked the COG to help them ensure that the maps were updated and accurate. And so to do that, we went and reviewed the ordinances starting at the year 2000, moving onward. We were looking at ordinances that pertain to any kind of a zone change or a comprehensive plan map change. We found a few small errors that can be corrected, but the biggest ones that I wanted to bring to your attention this evening, there's a group of 6 properties located on G Street that were, it looks to be incorrectly assigned a land use designation and zone back in 2001. So between the years 2000 and 2001, the city moved from a black and white map where the different zones were indicated by patterns, dots and lines, to a full color map. And at that same time, they had a big, huge zone change package as well. But we cannot find any indication that these properties were intended to be changed, so we think it was an error. These are 6 properties on G Street. 5 of them have houses on them. 3 of those 5 houses are actually duplexes, so there's a total of 8 dwelling units. The properties used to be designated and zoned for residential use, but now, about 20 years ago, they have been changed to commercial zoning and land use designation. So what staff would like the city council to do this evening is to consider the situation and provide some guidance on how you would like us to address it. What we could do is we could reach out to the property owners and ask them what they think they are zoned and what they would desire to be zoned moving forward. We expect that most of the homeowners would prefer to be zoned residential so that they are not a non-conforming use in a commercial zone. We expect there to be one property owner who actually has a mostly vacant property who we would expect to want to be commercial. They just purchased this property a couple years ago. They have plans to develop it as a commercial business. So if the city council would like to move forward with fixing this map error, we think it would be a pretty easy legislative amendment, a pretty easy fix. We reached out to the Department of Land Conservation and Development, or DLCD staff, and they say that map errors are pretty easy to change in terms of the findings that you make when you adopt those new maps. So I am looking for feedback from the city council.
So when I read this, I agreed. It looked like a mistake was made. It looks like one property that was just recently, as you mentioned, acquired, was probably acquired under the assumption that it was a commercial property, not a residential. Where the other ones probably would be more than happy to stay, I'm assuming, as a residential. So you have a suggestion in here, number 1, and that is, should the city reach out to the property owners to determine their preferred zoning is? I think that would be my recommended course of action. They've been living for 20 years under, could be a false assumption. And I don't think it's right for us to then turn around and designate them all residential by force and then have the person who just purchased the property, assuming it's going to be commercial, be told that, no, we made a mistake.
Will this change from commercial to residential, change their taxing amount?
We reached out to the Marion County Assessor's Office. We didn't get any feedback from them, but generally in the past, their feedback has been that properties are assessed by the current land use rather than the zone. So if there's a house, they are assessed as a house.
So they get grandfathered back into. Yeah. So based off of, if we just went along with that, and Jim, do you have any comments as well? Any questions you might have for Holly on this?
Nothing specific other than what is the fix and that looks appropriate to me. probably do want to go out to the property owners and determine their wishes and then move forward from there.
Okay. So Holly, a question for you on this one. If we do bullet number 1 for council discussion here, reach out to the property owners, would that fix the city mapping error, or do we still need to go back and make a motion to fix the comprehensive plan as well?
The city should adopt a revised map so that we can make it official.
Okay.
So there's no question moving forward what the zone and the land use designation is.
So
Just
obviously,
as a reminder, Oregon uses a 2-map system where they have a comprehensive plan map and then a zone map, and they overlay each other and they have to correspond. They have to agree.
okay. So we are going to need to ask the city, our administration department here, to reach out to the property owners, I'm assuming, on the zoning. And then we should fix the mapping error by making that motion and start that process then. Okay. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I keep forgetting. And Robert, I'm sorry, I know you're online. My apologies. I have not asked. Do you have any questions, concerns that you might have for Holly on this? Or the city staff?
Not on this one, no.
Okay. So it seems pretty straightforward. It sounds like there's consensus amongst the city council for us to reach out to the property owners to determine their preferred zoning, and that we should fix the mapping error on the comprehensive plan. So both of those. So I'll make a motion that the city council initiate a legislative amendment to fix the identified mapping errors on G Street in coordination with the affected property owners.
Second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, that passes unanimously. And by the way, Holly, I made a mention to Vicky on this, and I truly liked your write-up where you had for council discussion and suggested motion on the back.
Glad that was helpful.
It was very helpful. Thank you very much. Okay, the next topic on our agenda is discussion regarding potential design standards amendments. And again, Holly, the floor is back to you.
Okay, so I understand that in a recent goal setting session, there was mention by one or more counselors of they might like some more information about what it would take to adopt design standards in your community. Now, I don't have a good deal of information about what specifically that was in reference to, but I'm happy to help you collect more information. So what I've done is I've kind of provided a bulleted list of the different types of design standards that I've seen different communities use over the years. On that list, you'll see things like a downtown district or a highway corridor, a historic district, or a themed architectural style, or even just public works standards within the right-of-way itself. So there's lots of different options that a community could explore, but it really depends on what your goals are. And once the council is able to identify their goals, then we can dig a little bit deeper into how we go about doing this. Most of the time, design standards are applied as an overlay district, where you draw a boundary around a certain area and you apply a certain special set of design standards. So it's essentially a zone. And when you apply that new overlay zone, you would have to notify all the property owners and give them a chance to comment before you go ahead and adopt that. So I'm here to listen to any feedback that the council might have so that we can provide you the information you need.
So I'll speak last on this one. We'll go around and talk from counselors' input, then I can be quiet for once. But Robert, we'll start with you online if that's okay. I know this was definitely an area that you brought up as interest, and Tyler, I know you did as well. So we'll start with Robert. What is some of your inputs that you might give to Holly on this one?
So in my travels, specifically in Oregon, I know I personally enjoy going to different cities where they have a certain area that has design standards. The buildings look similar, or they follow a certain motif or color scheme or size. They have certain architectural amenities to them. The sidewalks are made, a little bit different, or, they have some specialness, uniqueness to them. And it's usually for a specific geographic region, whether it's a city block or several city blocks. I see that Hubbard is, or I believe Hubbard is going to be growing and businesses will be changing, maybe new businesses coming into our downtown area or other areas. And my thought and why I brought this up is to have some basic design that the city leaders, us, took the time to create, so that way the city looks a little more uniform, at least in a specific area, specifically a business area. So that's what I'm looking for, some uniqueness, not be too overpowering, but at the same time, I do not appreciate that one business on one side of the street may look one way. Another business looks like a very well-to-do business. The business next to it looks like a dump. I want some uniformity. That's what I'm looking for.
Tyler.
I agree, because we talked about this, I think, a couple meetings ago, just from a livability, quality of life, aesthetically pleasing to the eye. Specifically, how I call out Mount Angel and Sisters, those were two that I thought of right off the bat. When you go there, everything looks like it fits, it makes sense, it's pieced together correctly. People talk about how beautiful those downtowns are. I think if that's something that we could start moving towards here, it would make a lot of sense, and maybe invite more businesses specifically to want to come to Hubbard. I think it would only help. But yeah, I also agree with Councilor Prenslow that we don't want to make it so overpowering that it's an HOA, right?
Oh, yes.
People need to have some freedom to be able to do what they want, but at the same time, have some basic standard that all, especially businesses, should abide by.
Okay, and I have to agree with what Robert said, right? So we don't have this hodgepodge disparity. Jim, your thoughts?
Yeah, so, of course, we've seen successes now in Silverton. Our sisters, and Leavenworth, I've been up there. They even got McDonald's to do their signs themed to the Barbary, which is, that's kind of interesting when I was up there. But I've also seen where, they've had a difficult time in instituting this. A number of years ago up in Oak Ridge, they were trying to do something similar, and a lot of the business owners balked at this. They, going down the road, they thought looking at it as an extra expense. So we definitely want to make sure our business owners are on board. We don't want to make it too overbearing on them. And then the other question is, when do we apply those standards? Do we say just only new construction? Is there a remodel to the buildings? Is there a certain, when are we going to implement this?
I think, Holly, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you wrote in your write-up too, that we can't make it retroactive, but we can make it on new construction, extensive renovations, efforts like that.
Okay, yeah, I just, like I said, I've seen it, we've seen the results of when everybody gets on board, but then I also seen where, where it's happened in cities where they just, said, oh, this is going to be too expensive, we don't want to do it, and it didn't happen. So
Nice to have a balance.
just kind of a warning there. We want to make sure we get our business owners on board with this. We don't want to be too overpowering.
James.
I agree. Such as Mount Angel didn't always look that great 25 years ago, but as they've increased their remodels, some of the rebuilds they have incorporated, and finally through patrician, it's come to where they're actually a good looking community. And I can see us starting at ground level, maybe some basics, to give some guidance. I mean, I think there was property owners that would relish in the idea of getting some connectivity and looking good. I mean, the houses along 3rd Street have all really, some of them have come a long ways and they look good. So I just think, yes, we don't want to have too stringent, but I do think that we had a little bit of guidance. I think people would be happy with that.
So I think what we're kind of hearing from council is, for what we've got on here, is kind of, yes, we're looking for that community architectural themes based off of historical aspects of the city overlaid on the commercial districts. And I'm assuming it would be commercial would include 99 and 3rd Street and wherever we designate as commercial. So, Holly, I'm not sure if that helps, but I mean, I have nothing to add. And I think every counselor has pretty much spelled out. We're just looking for some parameters that can be put in place to ensure that we've got some good uniformity and we just don't have a hodgepodge of modern architecture mixed with historical architecture mixed with goodness knows what could come after that.
Does the council have any direction on the 99 corridor versus kind of the older historic part of town, or would it be all of the above?
I would like to see it on both the 99 corridor where I believe growth will also take place, because there's a lot of vacated land out there, and the 3rd Street Historic District. That's okay, Tyler's in agreement, and Jim?
Yeah.
Robert?
Yes, I'd like to see it encompass both.
Okay. And James? Okay.
Is there a particular architectural theme or some overlying concepts or history in Hubbard that you would really like to showcase or focus on or celebrate?
It's a great question.
That's the hard part. I don't know if any of us are architects. Might be the hard part.
I would say we have a good document that was developed by the Hubbard Business Group, not about 20 years ago now. Jim, you probably know what document I'm talking about. It had a nice overlay of kind of like what the city could look like, themed to be kind of an arts and crafts style, a little bit with that kind of turn of the century. It's a great example, at least. It looked really nice. It's just, again, it was vaporware. It was produced and the city never did anything with it.
I believe that's posted online, by the way.
Is it posted online?
I believe it is online.
Okay, Holly, could you maybe take a look at that as a starting reference point?
Absolutely. So a number of communities have design standards that are put in place. And you mentioned, what is the trigger? When do we require these for compliance? And you can play the long game. You can sit, as the counselor mentioned about Mount Angel, you can sit for a couple decades and wait for those to happen as businesses change hands and they remodel. There are also some incentives you can provide. I worked for the city of Redmond years ago when we did the arch over the street there, and they started doing a facade improvement program that was funded by the Urban Renewal District, where they provided grants, matching grants to help business owners improve their facades. And so they incentivized business owners to make the investments to reach those design standards they were looking for. So maybe in the future, that's something to consider as well, what kind of incentives the city might have available to encourage property owners to comply before the teeth require them to.
I would agree on that. I know years ago, we had talks about the 3rd Street District or renewal boundaries, and a lot of those didn't go anywhere, but of course, at the time, we didn't have a whole lot of movement on 3rd Street either. I think that's something I think we would all be interested in, as long as we can figure out how to do it in the future.
Mm-hmm.
I think first we just want to see if we can at least come up with what those designs might be. The question I have for you, Holly, is this something that we need to work through our planning commission through, or is there BKMs on how we might be able to get the community involved to come in and provide input, feedback?
Yeah. My next question was about your timeline. Is this something, I understand you started your search for a city manager, and I'm wondering if this is something that you would like to wait till they're on board to initiate so that they could help participate in the process and guide the process?
I'll probably start sooner than that. My fear is, I don't think that city administrator, city manager will be along in the near term. I don't know. I could be horribly wrong on that one. Maybe we'll have one next week. But either way, it'd be great to at least start the process, because I do know it does take time to get the community in, to have workshops, if you would. I was a member of the Hubbard Park Committee, I don't know, 18 some years ago. And I think we had 3 or 4 meeting sessions just talking about designs and the parks and touring them and what we can do with them. I'm assuming that'd be pretty similar in terms of architectural styles, color schemes, or whatever it might be.
Is this something we can, is this something we can advertise for maybe the next meeting? So we can post it on Facebook or the city website, so let people know it's an agenda topic to come and provide input, so we can at least hear.
Yeah, that'd be
Or
great.
we hold a separate meeting. But then have we get people to come to.
Even to this meeting here.
Yeah, and along with that, we might, actually, send out direct invitations to the business owners as well. Say, hey, yeah, you want to come on down and discuss this with us and get their input early on in the process. This is our idea, what are your guys' ideas, that type of thing.
So might I suggest though, instead of May, maybe we could try to do it in June. Give everyone a couple of months. That gives us hopefully past the rush of the budget that's currently going on. Because I can see the administration. Come on, we've got a budget to do. But maybe we can try to do that and invite public testimony at the June council meeting. See if we can get anyone up. We have a newsletter going out this week, or at least I'm supposed to write something up that's going to go out. And we can also put something into the newsletter, trying to encourage. I don't know how many people read the newsletter, but it's something. And we can start advocating for participation on our social media sites, etc. But I like that idea to see if we can get people to come on down and give some ideas.
So your June meeting is gonna be full, because you're gonna have, after your budget meetings, that's when you have your finalization of the budget. So you're gonna have a pretty full agenda on June.
Maybe we can do a special session. I'm open to a special session in June.
Just do an hour special session.
Yeah, I mean, we could even start it maybe even earlier, around 6 p.m. instead of 7 p.m. and we're not here until some crazy late hour. And if no one shows up, then it's a pretty quick session. So let's plan for a June. I'll work with Julie for something that we can put into the newsletter. And maybe we can try to do it not the week after council, but maybe it could be actually the week after council. It just can't be on a Tuesday because that's the planning commission. But we could figure out maybe on a Wednesday or a Thursday. Just not Monday, because I think you have drill on Mondays, right? We'll figure it out. I think it's a great idea, Tyler. I like that idea. At least start getting the community involved, and then if no one shows up, we'll find other ways to get people to come in. Holly, is there anything else you need from us on that?
So typically, when you initiate the process like this, you could have a joint work session with the Planning Commission, or you could designate kind of an advisory committee to really hammer out some of the details. So you're not sitting in front of hours of code amendments. You have some kind of specialized folks. I don't know who your talent pool is there locally, if you have some local architects, some local design professionals, folks who might like to take a crack at some of this.
I'm real impressed with how they Hubbard did that complete remodel, and it fits right with the old town look. You'd be a good person to ask to come in.
Pretty cool. I don't know, I haven't been in, but I've seen it from the outside. It did a phenomenal job gutting it, redoing that place. Oh, yes. Do we have the planning commission still going on next week? Okay. Then the next one for them would be in June, I'm assuming. No, not June, May. Okay. Because what was I gonna say, I could show up to that meeting at least, are they aware that we're even having this discussion at all? Do you know?
No, because we Holly needed to get guidance from you as to what it was that you wanted.
Got it.
And then, like she just mentioned, the next step might be a joint meeting. with
Okay.
them.
So why don't we try to do this? Why don't we try to have that June special meeting be a joint session between the planning commission and the council session? And we could invite at that time still community participation to come in. If no community members come in to provide input, we can at least start the process as a joint commission with the planning team. Because I do agree, most of these code changes, I'm assuming, will be driven through the planning commission and then recommended to us. Does that work, Holly?
Absolutely. In the meantime, for your pleasure reading, would you like to see some examples of other communities' design standards to get the wheels turning?
That would be wonderful. Do you have ones that you can forward to us?
Yeah, we have a couple different ones we could provide you.
Nothing better than good evening reading material. Okay, Holly, is there any other questions we might have from the rest of the council? Robert?
No, I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Hey, Jim?
I'm fine, thank you.
James?
I'm good, thanks.
Excellent. Holly, I think we're done with that topic then.
Great,
Again,
well,
I
I'll get to my homework.
I appreciate your write-ups and the council discussion one. That's awesome.
Thank you. Have a nice evening all.
Thanks, Holly.
You too. Thank you. Okay, let's
Thank you.
move on to the approval of the fiscal year 2022-2023 budget calendar. It is in front of you now. You'll notice that it is pushed down a little bit later than it would typically be. Our first budget committee will actually pull itself together on May 31st. Typically, it would be early in May. If we are requiring a second session, you'll notice that it happens the next day on 6/1. So there might be a back-to-back meeting, I guess is just a warning of that.
And please note the time it is 6:30
Yes.
and not 7.
So with that, let's go around if I'm assuming you're just looking for approval on this one. So if there's any questions or concerns, but James, you have any concerns on the current budget calendar?
No, it's just the day after Memorial Day.
Yeah.
I have a concern, I won't be here.
Uh-oh. And Joseph is our new budget committee member.
It's my mom's memorial service. So, otherwise I would try to get out of it, but I sort of have to be there.
Yeah, I would say you have to be there. That's important.
On what day? On the
I'll
30th?
be in Montana the 26th through the 3rd of June. So I thought it was early in May, so I didn't even.
It usually is. It's usually a lot earlier.
So Krista is online, and if you want to go ahead and comment on this and the time frame, we're kind of on a crunch time at this point.
Sure. Thanks, Vicki. For the record, Krista Bosserman, Wolf, CPA. I'm contracted with the city to help you through the budget process. Vicki is correct in saying that the schedule is very compressed and the meetings are later this year simply because we have to gather the data, be able to put the budget together. I hear the concern with timing. The challenge, I think, would be if we were to push that meeting a week later and say hold a special meeting, the council could consider that in June, is then we'd also have to bump the following meeting, which would be the hearing where we go ahead and the council would adopt the budget at that point. That would push it back as well. We need about 2 weeks between those two meetings in order for the required public notices and the publishing of the LBs to occur. So that would be the challenge that we're facing. I don't think it's insurmountable, but it'd be a question of when does the council want to convene and what other meetings can be adjusted.
I'm not sure if there's any meetings that can be adjusted, is there, at this point?
No. Well, she did say you could push it out a week. I mean, then you'd have more meetings in June.
But we kind of need the only budget committee member to actually attend.
Can I attend over Zoom?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, I can do Zoom.
Okay. It's usually only lasts a couple hours at most. I
If
think.
I can do it over Zoom, I'll find.
Depends how contentious the budget is. Okay, so it sounds like we might have resolved that conflict at least. We'll just make sure that we have a Zoom link for Joseph to dial into.
Great.
Okay. Joseph, thank you. That was a good, even though it's obviously, Robert, any questions or concerns you might have on the compressed schedule or what we're planning to try to get done?
No, in fact, I'm quite pleased that they were able to squeeze it in the short amount of time that we have.
Yes, very much so. Jim?
No concerns?
James?
No concerns.
Okay, then I guess can we get a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve fiscal year 2022-2023 budget calendar as stated.
I second it.
All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, calendar is adopted unanimously.
Thank you, Krista.
Thank
Great.
you.
Thank
And
you so much.
for signing on to help us out. Thank you.
I'm looking forward to it, and I will see you all on the 31st.
Okay, let's move on to Tim, number 5, appearance of interested citizens.
Morning, everybody. Rocky Sherwood, 2622 Mina Place, Hubbard, Oregon. So we have a few things, opportunities. I've been as active as I could on the, as you know, I'm the Hubbard community page manager. So I've been staying busy and working Amazon, it's been crazy. We have a few opportunities for our community. We got the Easter egg hunt coming on Barnsley Park, I think 10 a.m. this Sunday.
The Sunday or
Hubbard
Sunday?
Chevrolet's putting it on.
It's Saturday or Sunday?
Sunday.
Saturday.
It's Sunday.
Saturday. It's usually on Saturday, isn't it?
Yes. It is
I
Saturday.
thought it was Sunday.
Sunday's Easter, Saturday's Easter.
Yeah, it's usually on the Saturday.
Oh. Okay, so
10 a.m.
10 a.m.
And it's over with this 10:01.
Yeah, it goes quick. I've never seen kids pick things up that quick.
And another opportunity, we've been invited to join Jervis. They're having a circus come to town on May 22nd.
What do they look for in terms of a join?
They're inviting our community to come over, purchase tickets to join on May 22nd.
Awesome.
They got a community cleanup going on April 30th over there.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm trying to actually, I've reached out to Annie a couple of times now, trying to set up time to be able to sit down and chat with her.
So it's nice and, so I was at a council meeting last week in Jervis, so I go to theirs and here. So, it's nice to see, Tyler back, and it's good to see that we're showing involvement in the community and getting people out to get input on things, because it would look really nice to get some things done around here.
Thank you, Rocky. It's good to see everyone's face, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly, you know, but, no events scheduled. I'm thinking maybe another Harvest Festival in October or maybe September. We're thinking about something like that and try to do something. But hey, that's all I got. Just thank you guys, and maybe if we could get the water tower painted, we probably have had that thing painted since it got installed.
I don't know, that could be, yeah. Melinda's learning that.
I think we did.
2000.
About 20 years, huh?
It was a nightmare.
Oh, I bet it was.
Plastic blew off.
Right, thank you.
Yeah. Maybe green.
Maybe try. I do like color green, but, okay, but it'd be too camera at that point. Any other interested citizens? Okay, if not, let's just keep moving on. Discussion regarding utility worker 1's salary schedule. Mike.
Yes, as you all know, we are short a man. We went out approximately 5 weeks ago for applications. First round, we had 2 people apply, had 2 interviews, only 1 showed up. We then put it out again for a second time, and we've got 1 more. Do a little bit of preliminary research on other municipalities, and we're kind of on the lower end of the pay scale there. So what I'm asking the council at this point is, would you approve us to do a salary schedule to see if we're in the ballpark for this particular position?
Would it allow us to compare duties from those other, comparable jobs?
Well, with us, we found in the past that it's not always apples to apples.
That's my fear, yeah.
But you do it as comprehensive as you can, because there's not any that we have found that match line for line for what our guys do versus what other municipalities do. Our guys tend to have their hands in a little bit of everything that we do in public works, where a lot of the other municipalities will have, a guy in water, wastewater, a guy at parks, a guy doing outside stuff, streets and collections and distribution and that sort of thing. You find that unless it becomes a bigger project, you don't have a whole lot of crossing there in job titles. So you look at municipalities that are approximately the same size, and then you just compare that direction with, the best you can with what they did.
So are you looking for council just to give you a nod to at least go out and see what that comparison would be, bring it back to us for discussion?
Right.
Makes sense to me. We have to be competitive. Off the top of your head, and I don't expect you to know this, do you have an idea of how low we are in terms of percentage? In terms of the low scale?
What I've seen, I've looked at about 5, and I'd say we're about 30% on the scale. We had one go down to $12, but it was a very, very small community. And then we've seen others that are $1, $2, $3 more than what we're paying. So 30 to 40% from the few I've seen already.
I think you
Kind of shirt tail on this. I think it's, we obviously have a problem getting another body in right now. But this is something I was going to kind of bring up maybe in another month or two because we're really full. But maybe this fall, we need to take a look at overall compensation for the city staff. One, we've got inflation, of course, is nibbling all our heels all the time. And I know the city council gave the city staff raises. I know we've been in discussions with contracting with police, a union, wages, things like that. So, and Hubbard has some unique factors here in Hubbard. One of our unique factors is we do cover 100% of the medical, which most places, cover a percentage of that or a certain dollar amount. So we do in a way that a compensation package tends to be a little bit more with Hubbard. Another thing is our incentive pay. Not a lot of places will have incentive pay. So just as a ballpark, I think as a city, that's something that we probably need to tackle over the next year or so is, are we compensating overall properly? Just as a general city, are we paying our staff what they, what other staffs in similar positions are being paid in the community, with other cities? So
we were hoping to add a dollar amount in there for a salary study for the employees. The last one that was done was in 2015.
I'm assuming that would be the time to do it. You're talking about for the next fiscal year budget?
Yes.
That would make sense to have that done. And I'm assuming hopefully over the next year, we might see some slowdown in this crazy inflation that we're seeing. Maybe.
I agree. I think though, to Mike's point, if this is an immediate need, I agree that looking at the schedule for everybody is an important thing. But if you go around town right now, I think we can tell Public Works is down a person, right? Because we only have a couple. You're talking about trees getting trimmed and grass getting cut and maintenance. Like we need somebody in that chair sooner than later. So I think if we can he's just going to go look at numbers and bring them back, and then we can decide what we want to do. But I think the sooner the better, because we certainly need that person.
Agree with you there. And if we're not getting candidates in, people aren't applying. It's not because we're not advertising. So got to be an incentive for someone to want to join.
Well, it's kind of the marketplace right now, but whatever we could do to make it a little more attractive, I'd like to, because last time we went out for applications, we got 8 or 9.
Okay. So in this case, though, you'll bring it back next month. We'll take a look at it. In the meantime, you're still doing your interview process, at least with the one candidate.
Yes.
Hopefully it's a stellar candidate. Any concern on that from the rest of the council? Robert?
I don't have a concern about that. My concern is the timeliness. Like Councilman Thomas brought up, we need somebody now. I don't know if waiting a month to make that decision is the best course. I would rather that we come up with a maximum dollar amount, let Mike go out and find what he believes is the proper dollar amount to advertise the position at. I think tonight we should consider giving him that leeway.
Do we know what that dollar amount's going to be, though?
I don't at this point.
Mike, how long do you think it would take you to look at, say, half dozen comparable cities in the area for that type of position and make a determination that, what the dollar amount should be for our city?
I can probably get it to you next week. I'm off the rest of this week. And then because of the way the rotating schedule works, I'm off Monday, but I'm here Tuesday through Thursday, so I can get it to you next week.
And if you were given authority, how soon would you then post the position again with the updated wage?
It'd be the following week, or as soon as I get the permissions, I could go out the next day.
So again, to my fellow council members, I would encourage us to consider giving Mike the authority now rather than waiting a month and then he has to put this out.
You currently have a salary schedule that's adopted by the council and it would need to be ratified by the council. So you have to pull together a special meeting in order to do that. And make the amendment to the salary schedule that you already have adopted.
Okay.
But that is assuming that we're hiring this person on the first step, right? Could we authorize a higher step pay
Until we work at 2.
or something like that? Kind of.
Yes, you could, but the problem you run into then is the other, we've got in the same category that started at the first step and is working his way up. So if you bring somebody in fresh off the street for the same amount he's making, there's a little bit of a problem there in the ranks.
But if he finds out we hire the next guy at $2 more an hour,
Well, the thing about it is if you adjust the salary schedule, he's gonna get it also.
My thought on that would be fine. We need a body. Like, we just don't want to get in this scenario where it's August and we're.
So you thinking this is gonna be a 2, well, it still goes back to the fact we still can't even give you an approval to not to do this, so without authorizing the new salary schedule. So could we do this? If you can get it to us next week, could we have a Thursday special session? Take probably 30 minutes or less for us to quickly discuss it, chat it, vote on it, and be done with it. I don't know, I can meet next Thursday, I can meet I don't think you'll have it by Tuesday. I'm assuming it'll be
I'm not available on Thursday.
Okay.
And Julie's out of town.
What about Wednesday? Do Wednesday?
On what day?
Wednesday?
Yeah, on the 20th? Yeah, I could do it on Wednesday.
Could you have everything ready by Wednesday, Mike? Or before Wednesday?
I'll give it my best.
Okay. Robert, are you free on a Wednesday evening for a 6:30 special meeting?
I could probably make that happen, yeah.
Okay, and James? Oh, I'm assuming it's all Zoom. Jim?
I will be on another continent.
Well, that's true, you will be. But we will have a quorum. Are you okay with this?
That's fine, yes.
Okay, then why don't we go ahead and set it up for next Wednesday at 6:30?
At 6:30?
At 6:30? A Zoom meeting?
How late are we flying?
7:30.
At night?
So next Wednesday not gonna work? Okay, Thursday won't work. How about Monday the following week? That gives Mike a little bit more time to work on it. Would Monday oh wait, you have drill, right?
I will still be in Kansas, but the time change issue.
Okay. Would Monday the following week work for you? Okay, you're still in, yes, out of the country?
Yeah, okay.
Robert, would Monday of the following week work for you? So that would be not this Monday, but the following Monday? 25th?
I think that's the 25th. I can make that work.
Okay, then why don't we try to do a special meeting Monday, the 25th, 6:30 Zoom meeting, and we can get that approved and done.
Okay.
Okay. Any other discussion on this one? If not, let's move on to staff reports and we'll start with the police department.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Sergeant Anderson with Hubbard Police Department. I'm sitting in for Chief Rash. He's at a conference in Central Oregon this week. You'll see in your packet that there are a few items listed. First and foremost, I wanted to talk about a case that Officer Bentley made. We had a burglary back in January at the one of the storage facilities here. And as a result of contact with the individuals with that crime, we were able to tie them in with some property that was later put on a Facebook marketplace where the owner of that property identified some of his items. He was in a storage unit next to the ones that we were aware of. We weren't even aware that this person had been victimized. And Officer Bentley took the case. We worked with our partners in law enforcement. Kaiser Police was instrumental in helping us with this case. Wrote a search warrant. We went down there, served the search warrant. We were able to get this gentleman some of his property back and make a couple of arrests. I just wanted to give a shout out to Officer Bentley for an excellent job on that case. Did a really good job on that. You know, and it's kind of the tenacity. We like to we like to take pride in the fact that we are tenacious when it comes to crime fighting. And this wasn't like a tremendous number of pieces of property. We were looking for some stuff that was specific. We found just enough of that stuff to build a case. But without the tenacity that comes with you know, good hard work, this would have never come together. So I did send a letter out to the agencies that assisted us, thanking them for their assistance on this case because it was instrumental in making this all come together. But Officer Bentley did a great job on that. Thank you, Brian. One of the other things that's not on here is that we attended EVOC training as an agency, which is the Emergency Vehicle Operations Course at PIR. And that was fun. It was essential training, but it was really a blast to drive that course in our patrol vehicle that we're assigned to, and to get a chance to drive in conditions that are controlled and do a lot of different maneuvers, backing, braking, avoidance drills and things of that nature. We were able to kind of run through something. We try to do it every year. We've done it every year for the last few years since Chief Rash got here. And this year we did it again. It was great, a great time. So we got accredited 3 years ago when Chief Rash started working here. And we just finished up with our accreditation update, which is every 3 years. And through Molly, Molly Schwartz, the administrative assistant, she was instrumental in making sure that we got through this pretty seamlessly this year. We had a couple of things that we had to correct, but overall it was a very smooth transition. And the chief will receive our accreditation plaque at the conference he's attending this week. That'll be good for another 3 years. Some of you have met Officer Chris Davis. He's standing there next to Glenn Bentley. He came on board with us April 1st, was sworn in, and he is completing his last work day this week with Officer Bentley in his field training. And I just wanted to present him to the council and members of the meeting tonight. He's a new member of our team, and we're happy to have him. And I just want to welcome you aboard, Officer Davis.
Thank you. Nice to meet all of you.
Welcome. Chris is a lateral from
Washington County. Yes. Yes. I mean, he probably gave his bio if you guys want to know a bit more.
Yeah, I can do that.
Sorry, Chris.
Oh, it's okay. I just live in Wilsonville, not too far away from here. I went to school in college at Western Oregon University. Graduated from there in 2019. Got hired with Washington County about a year after I graduated. Was there for a little over a year. After I was there for a little while, I just kind of felt like I had a little more desire to work for a smaller community that's a little bit more close knit, get to know the people that I'll be seeing on a daily basis, and get to know the community a little better as a whole. Everybody here that I've met so far has been great. I'm really excited. Officer Bentley's been a great training officer for me so far. So have you, Sarge. So everybody's been great, and I'm really looking forward to getting to know all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Community outreach, National Night Out is Tuesday, August 2nd, 6 p.m. And Molly Schwartz will be coordinating the various neighborhood gatherings, and we'll have an update for you down the road a little bit on that particular issue. So under traffic complaints and enforcement, this is a reminder to contact the police department on traffic complaints and respond accordingly. This month is Distracted Driver Enforcement Month. The Hubbard Police Department will be utilizing grant money from ODOT to participate
in the enforcement of distracted drivers. And on that, all of our officers have already worked grant time. The other day, we had 4 guys working, which you never see, but it was, you couldn't turn a corner without a police officer. We're very busy. We were very active, and it was a great time. But some of the grant requirements are that we work those during certain saturation periods and as a condition of the grant. And our guys have been phenomenal, coming in on their days off and doing what's required to meet the needs of that grant so that we can continue getting funds in the future. Some of you, I know that Councilmember Thomas and Michelle Dodge both went through last year when I had the Milo Range 3000 set up in the council chambers, and I'll be doing that again. I'll be setting it up at the end of this week. It'll be here through the end of the month. And if anyone would like to go through, I would encourage everyone that would like to go through it to go through. It is a use of force simulator where you're presented with different scenarios, and then you have to act with a degree of force that ends the confrontation. And Fighter Thomas can tell you that he went through twice. It was so good. And
I would recommend anybody try it, just to give you an idea of what they're doing day to day. It's very enlightening.
Yeah,
very difficult too.
Yeah, so that'll be going up, and like I said, it'll be Tuesday through Friday. If anyone would like to go through, get a hold of me. I'll put you on a schedule. We'll run you through it. There are at this point 2 other agencies that are going to actually bring their guys up, put them through it as well. One is Mount Angel. The other would be Turner PD is going to send their guys through. And we're waiting for a couple of others. So we're trying to network with our other partners to try to maximize our opportunity to get these guys trained up on use of force issues and keep them sharp. Yeah, so if anybody wants to get a hold of me on that Milo Range 3000, just call me or send me an email. I'll be happy to get you signed up. Okay, yeah, that's all I've got. You have to answer any questions.
Well, I'm glad to see we're using grant money and not the grant money. I don't have any questions. Robert, do you have any questions?
No, I do not. Thank you, Sergeant, for standing in and giving that wonderful presentation.
Jim?
No questions, but I do want to say thank you, Officer Bentley, for your hard work. Great job. And I guess looks like Molly Schwartz also did a great job in maintaining the accreditation for Chief Rations report here. And I'd like to put a good shout out to both of them. So that's all I have.
James?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you, Sergeant. And welcome, Officer Davis. Thank you. Good job, man.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to the Hubbard Fire Department.
Mayor and councilors, Joe Budge, Chief of the Hubbard Fire District. I'd just like to inform you that as of July 1st, I'll be transitioning out of the leadership role here at the Hubbard Fire District. This change is coming at my request because I need to focus on a lot of the growth and developments happening down in the Woodburn community. I'll be recommending that Assistant Chief Carmen assume that role. It'll be up to the Fire District Board, of course, to make that determination. Michael lives here in the community. He's been involved with the fire district for a long time. He does 99% of the work already, the chief duties there. So I think he'd be a good choice, and I hope that the board goes in that direction. I don't see any reason why the fire districts won't continue the really close cooperation that we've had developed with the Aurora Fire District and the Woodburn Fire District. We've got automatic coverage going both ways. It's been working very well, covering all the city's needs, and I think that will continue, and I hope it will. So I'll be assisting with the budget process and hopefully get our contractor on board for the remodel for the fire that the city has helped us out with, and hopefully we'll have that going by July 1st. So, thank you. Michael's got a couple of things he'd like to talk about.
Mike Perrin, Assistant Fire Chief. A couple of things going on in the district. Our rescue has had the rescue body taken off of it, and at the end of this month, it will go down to White City and it will be converted into a brush. And the funds came from that through a Wildland Urban Interface grant through the State Fire Marshal's office, which will just be expanding our capabilities throughout the city and mutual aid deployments. And the other thing we'll be doing is we'll be showing up to the Easter egg hunt on Saturday at Barnsley Park and making our presence there and known. handing out stickers and making sure everyone is safe and have fun. Thank you.
Chief Budge, I must thank you. You've done a lot since you've been here and really bridging what used to be a big gap between the city council getting to know what was going on in the fire district and vice versa. I do appreciate the efforts that you've put in and looking forward to our new chief as well. And one of these days I will remember it is not a department, it's district. Yeah, I think I was told that like 12 times maybe at our goal setting session. With that, questions for the chief, Robert? Robert's quiet. We'll go to Jim.
No questions other than a great heartfelt thank you very much for all your great work with it.
Okay, we're back. I see Robert unmuted there for a second.
Sorry, technical difficulties. I pressed the wrong button. No, I have no questions. Thank you, Chief Budge.
Tyler?
No questions, thank you.
James?
No questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, administrative department, Nikki.
Okay, just a reminder, elections is coming up and June 1st is when you will be able to start your petition. There's going to be 2 council positions, the mayor's position that'll be opening up this for the election in November. And the council at the last meeting asked me to come back to this meeting with that Arpa fund, low income household water assistance, and the program that I was looking at wouldn't qualify for the Arpa funds, but it is kind of interesting because if our community participated, then members of the community would may be able to get assistance through this program, but somebody else would be facilitating it, not the city of Hubbard.
So this is the LIHWA?
Yes,
Is there any cost to the city to participate or sign up for that?
that's a good question. We didn't get that far on this. I was still trying to understand this whole thing and if they also allow this ARPA funds. So I'm still doing a little bit more research because talking with Emily, she said that there might be somebody at this organization that would have a program for the ARPA funds. So I could go back and ask, or I can have this person come to the meeting if you guys are interested in it, and she can answer all your questions about this program.
I think this one program, if there's no cost to the city, it just seems like a no-brainer. It's just more assistance and more help. It'd be great if we could figure that part out.
Okay.
And I do understand on the other part that we're still researching the whole issue on the ARPA funds and how we can use it.
Yeah.
Okay. Questions on that part from council?
Have none?
Okay, no questions, Robert?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Okay. No planning commission meeting next week. Newsletter that I will send myself an Instagram right now that I'm late.
Thank you.
Okay, generally, any other questions for Vicki on her write-up? And if there is not, on the petition for elections, is the city allowing petition this time, or are they just taking the pay your way through it again, or?
Yeah, I asked about that. That was only because of that emergency, so that is no longer, you have to go back out with the
Have to go get your signature. Okay.
get some signatures.
Just thought I'd throw that out there and ask.
Yeah.
Okay, if there's no other questions for Vicki, then let's go ahead and move on to Public Works Department.
Yes, you've got my report sitting in front of you. Item number 2, we're having a little bit of difficulties with. That's the generator here for City Hall. We got it installed, got it running. Had the electrician out, he got it wired up, got it running. Came back and give it a once over test and it wouldn't start up. So 3 days later, I came back and did the same sort of thing to it, and I couldn't get it to start up. And I've got a feeling that it may have to do with gas flow into the generator itself. The regulator we got on the back wall is ancient by anybody's standards, so it may need to be replaced. But I've got the company that does all the maintenance to our generators, called out, and see if they can get a space in one of their schedules, they'll come out and take a look at it.
The generator is dual fuel, right?
Yes.
Natural gas, or does it work on either of the fuels?
Yes, there's a slight modification you have to do to the carburetor, which they give us the instructions for, and then it'll run on propane.
But right now, it's only set up for gas.
Set up for natural gas. And I did have Northwest Natural come out and take a look at our meter out front. And he said, yeah, you've got more gas than you know what to do with. Because it was a question of whether it could deliver the amount that needed to run that generator. But he said, yeah, there's no problem with that at all. So as I said, got it running twice, was standing there when that happened, and then the third time it just wouldn't run.
So you just have a service call out for it?
Yep. And if we do end up having power issues here, we can always set up a portable, and it's enough to keep the lights on and the service going.
Excellent. Since we used it quite a lot, like less than a year ago.
Yes. Any questions other than that?
I don't have any questions for you, but I do want to point out item number 4. I want to, well, if I have a hat on, I tip my hat. You guys did a great job saving the city money on the solution that you guys put in. And I want it to be, noted that, you at first came out with like, what, 150 or something, 1,000 potential. And you saved us quite a bit with some ingenuity thinking, if you would, and came up with a solution that got it fixed. Thank you for getting that done. You and your team, good job. But with that, I don't have any other questions on this. I am excited though to see that the memorial is being moved to the Flag Day. Be a little bit warmer, maybe it won't rain on us. But with that, I'll go around backwards this time. And James, any questions?
I have no questions.
I had 2. First one, and I noticed this, but somebody asked me about it too. Are we budgeting for any paving on A Street between 99 and 5th in this next cycle? This seems to be a pretty bad road.
Yes, we're taking a look at that. Don't know where the paving budget is until we crank the numbers through the budget. Right now, we don't have enough money to do anything with that, but I have been kind of sheepishly and embarrassingly driving over the potholes. So we did get a pretty good size pile of cold patch to patch those. And as soon as we get a nice day out there where we don't have a whole lot of water in the puddles, we'll be going around and patching a whole bunch of them.
Awesome. Cool.
But yeah, the A Street between 5th and 3rd is the next one on the list. And as soon as we get enough money to get the paving done, we will.
Awesome. Okay. It wasn't here last month. I don't know if there's discussion about the sidewalks.
There is a request in for the how do we incentivize, and that's going into the budget discussion to see if we can't put a better incentive in for homeowners besides a $300 check for very expensive sidewalks. So we're going to try that, and if that doesn't work out, then we'll have to figure out other means that we can try. I do agree we need better sidewalks in the city. So.
Another update that the sidewalk session reminded me of is we did get some movement this week on the G Street sidewalk.
This would be the Union Pacific one?
Yes, I got an email from the gal that's processing the application, and she said that she is just about finished it up, whatever that means in UP standards, I don't know.
6 months.
But then she said that it was her understanding that we were only gonna do work on the west side. So I corrected and said, no, the east and west side, 50 feet from the track. So I don't know if that throws a monkey wrench into the works with them or not, but they're working on it. So there has been some movement.
At least there's some movement there. Okay, any other questions? Jim?
No questions?
Robert?
I do have a question, piggybacking on Councillor Thomas's question about A Street. You said that between 3rd and 5th, that's going to be a soon, hopefully will be a paving project. While we're on the topic of sidewalks, what would it take to improve the sidewalks in that area while we're doing the paving?
Well, we have written a grant, a small city allotment grant twice for that area. I think that's the next one on the list for when that comes open. And that does also include a sidewalk on the north side. So with that, you get the widening, you get a sidewalk, sort of like what you've got on Fifth Street, and you get the water lines replaced that run underneath the road there, because those are in very bad condition. And if we're gonna do some paving, we need to replace them before we actually get the new pavement down, because we don't want a whole bunch of utility cuts in there.
Absolutely. I just think that if we're going to be doing paving rather than just paving to, keep the road passable for a period of time, that we should actually work on improving the roadway. And that includes, the sidewalks. And as you mentioned, what was below the work that's being done. So thank you for answering my question.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, Robert? All right, if not, we will move on. Let's go on to consent agenda. I will go ahead and read the consent agenda items. A, approval of the city council meeting minutes. The first one set would be November 2nd, 2021. Is it 2021 or should that?
November 2nd, 2021.
Wow, they're that old. Okay. November 2nd, 2021 special. And then March 8th, 2022. B, approval of the March 2022 check register report. C, approval of the Marion E. Carl Veterans Memorial application for celebrating Veterans June 18th, 2022, contingent upon receiving the required insurance documents. And then D, City Council officially lifts the state of emergency declared in resolution number 692-2020.
I make a motion, we accept the consent agenda as stated.
I'll second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, consent agenda passes unanimously. Other city business, the only thing I would mention here, and I probably should have brought it up in the mayor's councilor section, my bad, is I did have a chance to chat with Maureen. She is the president of the Hop Festival Commission. They are moving forward with a Hop Festival this year. I'm very excited to see that. Their theme is small town. I've already helped out a little bit in terms of reaching out to some wineries to see if we can get them interested in joining in. She's doing the same thing with breweries, but they are meeting every other Tuesday at 6:30 at the fire hall. Council ever decides to stop down. I mentioned to her, I will try to go as many as I can, primarily because I'm pretty excited about seeing it come back this year. They do have a full board, another great thing, because we all know it takes volunteers to get that. So, and they even had additional individuals show up. Joseph and even Rocky showed up to the last meeting as well. So again, excited about it. Just wanted to let council know that this is moving forward this year, and anything that we can do to help out, just let's see what we can do. That's all I've got. Any other city business?
Yeah, wasn't sure if I had missed the mayor's and.
No, I think I just went right over it.
Okay, so taking a half step back there. I just wanted to make a statement, make sure it sits clear to the city council is in. I brought this up last city council meeting. I wanted to reiterate, in the interest of not wanting to, stifle innovation, cost savings, efficiencies, good business practices. I want to make sure our department heads, our support staff have my full support in bringing any improvements to myself, to the city council at any time. That's what I expect of the city staff and city department heads. And I just want to make sure that is clear to the staff. At any point in time, they see an improvement, please let me and the council know.
Yeah, we don't need to wait until the council meeting for that. And if there's an approval that's needed, you can always pull that in our special session. Agree with you. Great. Any other council update? Because I did actually pass over that. James?
I was able to attend the county commissioners roundtable today. There was council members from St. Paul, Donald, and Woodburn, and county commissioners basically showed their support to small towns versus the Salem, Kaiser, or Woodburn. And then one council member asked that he feels bad asking the county for help with stuff when towns of Detroit, Gates seem to be so much need, but the county commissioners unanimously said, please ask, because we have enough of the pot to go around. And they wanted to make sure that small towns knew that we were a priority to the county commissioners, especially when it comes to doling out like some of the ARPA funds. I thank them on behalf of Hubbard for their big recent one, as did some of the other small towns. So it was nice to have an interaction with some.
Excellent. I think I got to attend that a couple of years ago. It was a good one.
Do we have any updates on city manager?
I don't think
Is
so.
there any updates on the city manager?
No.
No.
There's, they are in the process. It's in the process. I do not have update. I asked for that, but they didn't really have anything other than similar to the advertise.
I couldn't say it's advertised. You saw the, in the checks I signed today, there was an invoice in there for direct mailings that they did, posted online, and a few others. So they're actively advertising. That's what I can tell you.
That's all I have.
Robert, anything from you?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Hey, my apologies. I don't know how I just blew right over the mayor. Okay, so with that, our next agenda topic is adjournment.
Make a motion we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, no one ever opposes that. Okay, thank you guys.